Could Vita Vea be somebody that the Chicago Bears could end up with here in Chicago, as the all-pro defensive tackle has requested a trade after not being able to get a long-term contract worked out to this point with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? We got to talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. This is the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks, so make sure that you stay in tune with us, man. Oh, thank the heavens. Football season is back. I'm so excited to have actual football conversation to talk about, as listen, this could be a pretty massive one for the Bears if they were able to get this deal done. Now, I'm not saying that it is going to be easy for you. I'm not saying that it is going to be that you're not going to give up something that could be of value for a player who is 31 years old. When you look at Vita Vea, though, looking at him last season, you're talking about a player who played in all 17 games last year, still had 4.5 sacks from an interior position coming off a season where he had 7 sacks, still had 13 quarterback hits last year, had 34 tackles, still was a force within that run game, and has been a monster throughout just about his entire career. To me, not to say that this is a no-brainer. I think that there's a lot that you do have to take into account for the long term of this. But as far as a player who definitely can help your team this upcoming season, I don't think that there is one better. Hit that like button if you agree with me. One that is available, I should say, that is better. Because here's the thing, right? You're adding him to a room of guys that you don't want to come down too hard on everybody in that room, right? There's still a shot that Javon Dexter is going to be able to take a step, even though it hasn't been that way for the last couple of years. And it's kind of that ish or get off the pot time right now, right? Even though Grady Jarrett, I think he's going to have a bounce back season. To me, this is a true answer for you. This is not somebody that you are questioning. This is not somebody that you are looking at and saying, where is your interior pass rush, or where is your interior run stuffing going to come from? And he is a player that I think with some of the guys that you already have on this team, you can pair up with and make teams one-dimensional. That makes your defense even more dangerous. And now I think you're in an even more advantageous situation if you are talking about working with Austin Booker, talking about him taking that next step, talking about adding to Montez Sweat's game and what he could be this upcoming season. That force in the middle can be so incredibly important. And so I think it's going to be big for you to find somebody. And to me, if you could get him for a day 2 pick, I think you are walking away singing the praises, because you're not in the same spot that you were in a couple of years ago. You're not in the spot where you're just trying to go get a veteran that can rush the passer and can be helpful. You're in a spot where you need somebody that, number one, has that championship experience. We know that Vita Vea has that. But number 2, can be somebody who is a real asset as far as on the field and as far as leadership goes, that can help you to take that next step defensively. And yeah, that might not be a long-term piece like it would be for you to go out there and grab somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round of the draft. But realistically, what you need on this team right now is someone who helps create pressure. And to me, I think that right now is Vita Vea. And I think that it helps the guys that you currently have on your team to take another massive step. Let me know how you guys feel. Do you think the Chicago Bears should try and bring in Vita Vea? And could this actually get done in your mind? Because here's the reality of it, right? You have to have something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers want to part with. That they want to take in, I should say, so that they could part with Vita Vea. Like, you can't just get rid of, we'll give you a 4th round pick and we're going to call it a day, right? I think you're still going to be probably in that late 2nd, maybe late 3rd round selection area there. And I think that that's a conversation, maybe even packaging a couple of 3rd round picks if you could, or a 3rd and a 5th, whatever it may be, to bring that player here, because The reality of it is, at 31 years old, sometimes, and for a lot of guys on the interior, that's when they're hitting their prime, and so they know that they're missing out on possibly the best years of a pass rusher, especially an interior force here, where this next 31 to 33, 34 is usually when you can get a lot of juice out of that squeeze, and so it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out, but this could be a blessing in disguise if you're the Chicago Bears right now, as far as getting a player in the building who you know can make an impact right away and who you know can fit into this Dennis Allen system. I mean, when you talk about a physical specimen that can move pretty quickly, this is what DA is looking for, right? You got that 6'4" build, but 347, takes up a ton of space in the middle of the field, and also has that quick burst, getting off of the line, being able to get onto the quarterback and or being able to get to the running back pretty quickly. Again, if you're able to make teams one-dimensional, that is what Yurko was talking about as the best scenario for you to be in with Austin Booker. You know what I mean? Like, that, to me, that's the best scenario, that you can consistently put him on the field and say, we feel comfortable with him in long pass rushing downs. That's where you're going to see the best out of him. For you to get the best out of a guy off of the edge that you're putting a lot of faith in, why not invest in that interior a little bit more? Like I said, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Now, contract-wise, for Vita Vea, that's where this does get interesting, because right now at 31 years old, I'd be fine with giving Vita Vea a 2-year deal, maybe a 3-year deal with a player option or a team option on that last year, depending on how he's playing at that point. But what you don't want to do is go out there and say, yeah, we're all in and we're locked in and we'll give you another 4-year contract here, right? There's a reason that the Buccaneers are moving on. It is that the length of terms on this contract here that they can't kind of figure out. I'll bet you the Buccaneers are probably trying to do a 2-year deal as well, as far as an extension goes. And what your hope is that it's just a matter of, the money isn't lining up or things like that. But right now, Vita Vea coming in making $17 million on that interior. That is half of, hear this, that is half of what the highest paid interior guys are making in this league. So now you're talking about what kind of a jump are you really giving Vita Vea for the next couple of years. Now, I'm all for you investing heavily in the D-line. I'm all for you investing in a player like Vita Vea. I think that it would be a smart move to make. But the reality of this situation is, you don't want to be giving $35 million to Vita Vea. So can you talk him into maybe taking a $25 million deal as you're starting to have money off the books? But remember, you do got to pay Darnell Wright this upcoming offseason. Right? At a minimum, you're hoping to get this done during camp, but you've got to pay Darnell Wright this upcoming offseason no matter what. You've got to pay Caleb Williams. Rome Odunze is going to be looking for a payday if he has a really good season this upcoming year, right? Like, there are names that are important to this team right now that you still have to think about if you're going to go out there and try and get a player like Vita Vea, right? You can't just say, we'll figure it all out when we get there, because that puts you in a bad space, bad cap space financially moving forward. To me, I think that you could make a deal like this work, but you almost have to be like, look, we're bringing you into a situation where you're going to be the focal point of this thing. You're going to be a face of this defense, if not the face of this defense, certainly pretty quickly the face of this defensive line. And you'll have a real opportunity to win a championship here. This is not you just going out looking for a payday. This is the potential for you to, look, you can do some really good things down in Tampa, but I don't think anybody thinks Tampa's going to go out there and win the Super Bowl this year. You think that Baker Mayfield is a very good quarterback that can go out there and lead you in some deep playoff runs, but just kind of the makeup of the team right now, you feel like they still got a couple of steps that they need to hit on. You're selling Vita Vea if you were to make a trade here and try and get a contract done on, look, we're trying to get this for the long term. We'll backload some money for you right now over the next couple of years. Would you be willing to take 25, knowing that you're going out there looking to compete for a championship over the next couple of years? I think that that's kind of the conversation that you have to lead with, because you do have these young pieces that are incredibly important. Otherwise, just stick with the capital that you have, right? Like, you've got these young pieces that are, you've got to pay Caleb Williams. That is a must. You've got to pay Darnell Wright. That is a must. If Rome Odunze or Vita Vea is the conversation, right? Are you leaning Rome if he has that first half of the season that you saw? Are you leaning Vita Vea over the next couple of years, depending on what he could give you? Maybe some people would say that you're leaning Vita Vea to have that answer on the defensive line, but you're not going to be able to go out there and pay him 35 and reset the market here for his pay scale. You're just not. The Bears aren't in a position to do that with the contracts that they have coming up, even with the money coming off of the books, because for the first time in a long time, you have to pay a quarterback. And quarterbacks make a heck of a lot of money. Unless Caleb Williams is going to go, I would rather have him and, just kind of, yeah, it is what it is. I'll take an L on the contract the first time around, which I don't expect Caleb to do, just so that we can get everybody else done in here and make sure that we have a player like Vita Vea in the building. That'd be great. I'd love to say that would be the case and that would be a situation that that ends up working out for the Bears. But the reality of things is he's probably going to want to get the bag in this. And so you have to figure out how to finagle that, whether that comes into bonuses, whether that comes to kicking the can down the road. Maybe you do give him that longer term deal, but it's one of those things where it's the non-guaranteed money. And so you never really see any of that money that's 3-4 years down the road, but you end up seeing the money that hits right away. Like, I don't think that you couldn't get something like that done. But as far as an impact player on the field, you're now not having a conversation on where's the Chicago Bears interior pressure going to come from. Are they going to be able to pressure the quarterback? Are they going to be able to stop the run? Now you're having a conversation on, well, how good are they at stopping the run actually? Are you boosting yourself past just being a top 15 team? Because now, again, like I said before, it makes everyone around you better. Montez Sweat becomes a better player. Austin Booker becomes a better player. Grady Jarrett becomes a better player. All of these guys become better players if you have Vita Vea around them. And I think I would be more intrigued by that than the price tag down the road. Again, let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We are over 100 in that shit. Over 200. Hey, over 200 people in the building right now, man. Let's get over 200 likes on the video. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. I want to get to some of you guys' comments as well. Shout out to you who have tapped in. Ron Winarski in the building said, Winrowski, I should say, in the building said, breaking news, Gordon got hurt putting his pads on. He's on IR. Everybody relax. Calm down now. Skinny P said, good work, Pat. Every day you have good insight. Appreciate you, my guy. Lord Crimson said he agrees that it would be too expensive to go out there and get Vita Vea. It's tough, right? Because we know, like watching the Rams, don't we kind of know money's not real? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it's not real at any point, but like, don't we kind of know that if you're going for it, there comes a point where money's not real? Like, you kick the can down the road so far and you know you're never going to see that money. You know you're going to be restructuring a deal, or you know you've got an out at some point. So I would wonder what kind of contract that would get done. But look, if I would just have an honest conversation straight up the second you pick up the phone. Is he looking for 35? If he's looking for 35, you hang the phone up. Vita Vea is a heck of a player, maybe even deserves 35, but that's not the spot that you're in right now. And you can only operate in the spot that you are in. And so for me, if you're talking about bringing him here, he's playing on the contract that he has right now, which is at 17. You're in a good spot there. Next season, boost him up to 25. I'd even say my max would probably be around 28. You know what I mean? If you were going to get something done there, my max would probably be around 28, and that would put him ahead of guys like who's in that range. That put him at Dexter Lawrence range, right? That puts him ahead of Milton Williams, puts him ahead of Jordan Davis. Some of those guys that he's sitting well behind right now. Quinnen Williams, that would put him ahead of. The only guys he would be behind are Chris Jones and Jeffrey Simmons, realistically. If he would be willing to take a deal like that, I'd be willing to have a conversation with him. If he's looking to reset the market, I don't think that the Bears are going to be able to get there. That's just the reality of the conversation. And I wouldn't fault Ryan Poles if, he didn't make a deal and all of a sudden we heard, Vita Vea has been traded to whoever it is, and Vita Vea is getting paid $38 million a year. And, moving forward, this is the new DT market. I wouldn't be upset if Ryan Poles passed on that. And I think that's how I felt about, look, I know the pass rush situation that we're in. is not good. The pass rush situation that we're in is not good. But when you look at the price that when it came out after everything, when they talked about the price it would have cost for Max Crosby, when they talk about the price it would have cost, now for Myles Garrett, I'm paying the price. I don't care. There's no world I wouldn't pay that price. But when they talk about the price that it was going to cost for Myles Garrett and things like that, like we kind of got to the end of all those, even Jalen Phillips. Oh, why don't you go get Jalen Phillips? Even when it was Jalen Phillips going down to Miami, when we saw how much money he went for, we were like, yo, you're smoking what? There's no shot I'm paying you that high. You're a good player, but you're not there. And I would say Vita Vea is worth resetting the market. The level of talent that he is, the level of player he is, I wouldn't be mad at it. It's just it doesn't feel like that's the situation that the Chicago Bears are in. Hit that like button. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments, man. What do we got? Rod said, Pat, what picks are you going to give up to get them? Listen, with where the Bears are at right now, you are in a let's go after it mode, right? You're talking about right now, if you're talking picks straight up, and let me see all the picks. I believe the Bears just have their picks next season. I want to make sure I'm being accurate on that, though. But I believe coming into 2027, hold on. Whoa. The Bears only have their draft capital moving forward here. So in 2027, the Bears have a first rounder that is there. Oh, I'm sorry. This is that's right. 2027. First round is there. Second round is theirs. Third round is theirs. Fourth round is theirs. We don't have our fifth rounder for next year. Sixth rounder is ours. Seventh rounder is ours. Okay. So for me, I would say you're living in that world of giving up that second round pick because your hope is that second round pick is late. Right? That's kind of where you are if you're the Bears right now. You're saying, yo, this is going to be a late second round pick. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. Our goal is to be one of the final four teams left. If you're telling me that we're at the end of the second round and we got Vita Vea out of that, I'm okay with you giving that up. You can only project what you believe the level of team that you're going to have is, right? If I'm giving you a late second round pick, maybe I'll throw in a future fifth if they sitting there, finagling over it or trying to fight over it, then yeah, that'd be something I'd like to see the Bears get done. But the reality of the situation is, right, like you might have to offer a little bit more. And I think that this is going to be a finite, it's a tough trade scenario because there's so many working parts with a player who is 31. So you could get the best years of them. But at the same time, you're talking about a player who you don't want at 35, 36, 37, more than likely. If he's one of those anomalies that is out there and looking healthy and still strong as an ox, you just kind of play that contract as it goes. But I wouldn't be looking to pick up the phone and say, yo, we want to get a 4-year deal done with Vita Vea right now, which more than likely is why he's having so many issues down in Tampa Bay. I see a couple of people in here championing for Jordan Vandenberg. Listen, like to me, Jordan Vandenberg, I'd love to see what he is, but I'd love to have an answer in front of that. And if you beat out those answers, ball up top. It's your world. You know what I mean? I like Jordan Vandenberg, the vanilla gorilla. Like, I love the nickname. I hope that he shows out in camp. I think that there's a lot of things that he has traits-wise, right, that will help him to, number one, make this team, because that is still a question. So, number one, make this team. And number two, actually be somebody who finds their way into the rotation this season. I think he's got some really good traits, a little bit of a wrestling background as well, if I'm not mistaken on him. So there are things that I think you could see from Jordan Vandenberg that would take him over the top. But that doesn't mean you can't operate a team on I hope. And there's too many players this upcoming season that you're operating with on I hope, especially on the defensive side of the football. You're hoping Tyreek Stevenson locks in and bounces back. You're hoping Kyler Gordon is going to be healthy. You're hoping that Dayo Adangbo is motivated. You're hoping that Austin Booker turns himself into a 3-down back. Right? Like, you're hoping for all of these things. But the reality is, you need to see some of that hope turn into actual play on the field. I hope the Bears can get Vita Vea in the building, because I know that I'm not hoping he's going to make an impact on the field. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm living with guys like Jordan Vandenberg and stuff like that. I need to see something proven in front of you. And if you beat what's proven, ball up top, let's work. There's too much hope going around here. I feel like you've got a little bit more proven on the offensive side, even though there's a lot of hope with that as well. But I feel like you've got a little bit more proven on the offensive side. Right? You believe, you can see what Caleb Williams can be already. You're not asking questions on that. It's just a matter of, is he going to be there for 4 quarters or just in the second half? But on a defense, you're operating off of too much hope. I'm waiting for proven. Shout out to y'all for tuning in and showing love. K and Dot said, do you think they're really waiting till training camp is up to make a move? No, I don't think that they're waiting till training camp is up to make a move. I think that they are going to wait to see where they're at with this whole, we're going to teach technique better, right? And you've got 2 road games versus guys that you were doing joint practices with, so the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. I would say once you get to that Cincinnati game, if you come out of that game and you're sitting there going, ooh, sweet Jesus, it don't look great on that defensive line, you would see the Bears try and go out and make a move then, right, for some of the names that are still available. I think that that's what you're going to see from most of the teams with some of the guys that are still out there right now. Like, to me, I think these names are out there because teams want to see, okay, what are the young guys going to do? What are the UDFAs going to do? Are they going to impress us? What do they look like? And then you get that opportunity to see, well, what do they look like versus real competition? Once you see that, that's when you get your real answer, especially in a joint practice with how the Bears practice. That's when you're going to get your real answer. Because here's the reality of it. Remember last year with the joint practices, right, versus Miami, and we kicked the crap out of Miami. But we left that practice going, yo, the tackle position is going to be a struggle until somebody figures it out. And guess what? We got into the season. Theo Benedict was cool, but he wasn't great, right? Like, Braxton Jones was fine, but he wasn't great. And then finally, somebody was ready, and you threw Ozzie Trapillo out there, and you just went, oh, that kid can play. He finally figured out what to do at right tackle. But you knew it was going to be a long process into the season before somebody figured out that left tackle position, just from watching that Dolphins practice. You knew the Bears were going to have some interesting issues getting to quarterbacks when you saw them face off against the Bills. And those are practices that it felt like the Bears both won. So I think that as the season goes, you're not going to see anything early on in training camp. You're not going to see anything probably until you get around that Cincinnati game added to the team, because the guys that you're bringing in know what they're doing. Vita Vea doesn't need a training camp to go out there and be Vita Vea. If you were going to make that move, and if it turns out that they can wait that long, right, like it's not going to be a tough transition for Vita Vea to walk in. Yeah, he's not going to know the system, and there's going to be things he's going to have to figure out on the fly through practice, and he's going to be a little bit lost, but he's going to have veterans around him like Javon Dexter or like Grady Jarrett that can help him through that part. But the talent aspect of Vita Vea, you're not worried about Vita Vea being able to stop the run in the middle. You're just not. And so I think that, you know, you can wait a little bit longer for some of these veteran names that are still out there. What do we got? Boom, 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 boom. Big shout out to y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in and to every single show that you guys do. The book of Ezra said, that's the name right there. The book of Ezra said, I think we're going to be fine. Our D-line is going to be coached better. Look, I hope so. I hope it is just a matter of a coaching issue. You know what I mean? I do hope that it's a matter of a coaching issue. But I watched 8 games of Dayo Adangbo last year, and you know what? I don't know what you're going to coach better on him. Dio didn't seem like a technique problem last year. Like, honestly, think back to last season. The names that we had. Did Dio seem like he had technique issues? Did Dio seem like he had motivation issues? No. Dio seemed like he just didn't have enough talent to consistently create pressure on a quarterback. Dio was out there doing his move, spin move, swim move to the inside, trying to do all of this stuff. And you know what? Like, they beat him. There was a better player standing across from him through 8 weeks. Did it seem like we had a coaching issue with Grady Jarrett or a coaching issue with Montez Sweat? No, it didn't seem like we had a technique issue with any of those guys. It just seemed like they were getting beat. So when I hear we're going to teach the scheme better, we're going to teach the technique, or we're not going to teach the scheme as much, we're going to teach the technique better. Okay, but like you're talking about guys who are Austin Booker, I'm okay hearing that about. But what are you going to teach Montez Sweat? What are you going to teach Grady Jarrett at this point? I'm not saying that they're above learning. I think that is still an important process to always being able to learn and learn the next thing of your game. But there's no pass rush move you're going to show Grady Jarrett at this point in his career that he's going to go, yo, never even thought that I could do that. He's been in the league for what, 12 years at this point? So when I heard the whole, we're going to teach technique better. Yeah, for the young guys, that makes sense, right? If you want to talk about even throwing Javon Dexter in there, if you want to talk about Javon Dexter, you want to talk about Shamar Turner, you want to talk about Austin Booker, that makes sense. But I wouldn't hold everybody under that same umbrella going into practice there. Chi-Town Kid said, I don't think that Ryan Poles is going to trade for him. If you're looking at his history this year, he hasn't traded for any big names. He'd rather keep the guys that he has. But hey, maybe he surprised me. Look, I don't know if he would. But Ryan Poles has also never been in this situation. He's never been in a situation where you're coming off an 11-5 season where you were a play away from the NFC title game and you need to get better than that. He's never come off of a situation where you've got a legitimate no GM has come off a situation where you've got a legitimate quarterback that actually can propel you to the Super Bowl, with a head coach that actually can propel you to the Super Bowl, with wide receiver talent on that level and an offensive line that, dare I say, may be one of the best offensive lines in the NFC, even with the issues they have on that left tackle side. He's never been in this situation. You know what he's been in? He's been in a lot of 7 I don't even know if we had 7. What were we, 6? It's been a lot of 6 and 10 seasons, or 6 and 11 seasons. And so the philosophy may be different going into this one, right? When we made the signing for Yannick Ngakoue, we were just looking for anyone who could rush the passer. We weren't looking for an elite pass rusher at this point. We were like, yo, he'd be good. We may be able to rush the passer. He'd be able to be out there on passing downs. You feel good about him. Reality was he got banged up and it didn't work out. But it's just, to me, it's one of those things where it's like, you're not just operating off of, oh, well, if this, and this happen, we can be good. You saw it be good. You saw the talent on the field. You saw the level of play that your team could be at when they went up against the Rams. You just got to make good on those things and have a few tweaks. And to me, the biggest tweak is going to be on that defensive line. And if you have an available player that, by the way, when you talk about some of the names that were out there, I think even some of the comparisons that were out there, this is the best level of pass rusher that you're going to be able to get for the cheapest price that was available this entire offseason. It just is. You would have had to pay a massive contract for Max Crosby, and you would have had to give up 2 first-round picks. You would have had to pay a massive contract for Myles Garrett, and you would have had to give up multiple firsts and a player that you didn't even really have a player on the level of Jared Verse to give up. So, right, like, are you really having that conversation? Like, you would have had to give up so much for every one of those guys. In this scenario, you're talking about 1, maybe 2 day 2 picks for a team that's hoping to be, like I said, a Super Bowl contender, finishing in that Final Four. You're talking about having to give him a contract. You're going to have to figure that part out. That's a massive part of this. You got to figure that out. But as far as pass rush goes, adding everything that you added in the offseason and being able to have an ability to still build in the future, this is as good as it's going to get. Vita Vea is as good. This is as good as it's going to get for the price. So let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below, man. I'm going to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Just wanted to chop it up with y'all about this topic real quick. Again, if you have not done so, make sure that you hit us up in the comments below. If you want to join the Discord, we'll drop that Discord link to you. We're going to be using the Discord a lot during training camp for updates and things like that, so you can get them right away. You also can see whenever we drop our latest Bears, Bulls, whatever the content may be that we're dropping over there. Also, if you are going to be able, or if you are going to be joining us for live streams this year for the Bears, if you would like to join us for live streams for the rest of the NFL games, probably some NBA as well moving forward, make sure to go subscribe to Pat the Designer TV on Twitch. We are going to be live for just about every single game that I don't have Bears duties on that day. So with the Bears game, right, so if the Bears play at 12, game usually ends at 3. I've got a post-game show that I do on ESPN Chicago at 5, usually about 2 hours on that. And then I'll try to get home, hopefully for the second half of Sunday Night Football. So that may be a day where I'm not unable to do, full day live streams. But outside of that, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Wednesday Night Football, we're going to be live for all of it. So make sure that you're tapped in with us here as well. But hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. It is your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Bet on one love. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.
Red Nation, are we here? The best show for Chicago sports.